All right, let's get right into it. There is a huge, and I mean huge, fight going on right under our noses for the future of AI. And here's the thing. It has almost nothing to do with the chatbots and the image generators that we're all talking about. No, this battle is happening on the ground, in our communities, and it's all about the physical backbone of the entire AI revolution.
And you know, this quiet fight, it just exploded into the open. Recently, Senator Bernie Sanders, along with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, dropped a federal proposal to hit pause on building new AI data centers. And Sanders, well, he did not mince words. He's framing this as a direct battle to stop, in his words, a few oligarchs from completely remaking our world.
Now, to really get why this alarm is ringing so loud, you have to wrap your head around the sheer physical scale we're talking about. According to the Associated Press, just one typical AI data center can guzzle as much electricity as 100,000 homes. Let that sink in for a second. This isn't just software floating in the cloud, it's a massive industrial build-out, and the physical stakes are enormous.
So this federal proposal is called the Artificial Intelligence Data Center Moratorium Act, and it's designed to do exactly what it says: hit the brakes on this incredibly fast, unchecked expansion. The whole idea is to force a pause, to have a real national conversation about what AI infrastructure truly costs before it goes and reorganizes our entire energy system on its own terms.
But what's really fascinating about this bill is that it's sending two kinds of messages at the same time. On one hand, you have these incredibly concrete kitchen table concerns, your utility bills going through the roof, the strain on water supplies, and this intense concentration of private power. But then, it bundles those with the more familiar and maybe less potent alarms about AI, things like deepfakes and surveillance. And that makes this really important to understand.
And this brings us right to the core argument for this whole explainer. There are two fundamentally different ways we can confront the power of AI. One way focuses on its behavior, what it says, what it does. The other focuses on its backbone, the actual physical stuff that makes it all run.
And why does that distinction matter so much? Well, as some analysts have pointed out, all that public anger and anxiety about AI can actually end up helping the tech giants, if it's focused on the wrong things. See, if we're all outraged because a chatbot has a weird personality, that's the perfect distraction from the real permanent expansion of power that's happening just beneath the surface.
So this slide really breaks it down. You've got these two totally different battlefields. The behavior debate, that's about stuff the industry can actually manage with PR, with safety talks, and endless software tweaks. But the infrastructure fight, whoa, that's about energy bills, water rights, and zoning codes. That is a direct challenge to the physical engine of the whole system.
And here's the kicker. While the big national debate gets all tangled up in AI's behavior, there's a much more effective strategy that's already winning battles on the ground. Far away from Washington, local communities are using a completely different language, the language of raw power over infrastructure.
Take Maine, for instance. Their state legislature pushed for a moratorium on any new data center bigger than 20 megawatts. You notice the language there? It's not about bad AI, it's about a specific megawatt threshold. It's technical, it's precise, and guess what? It works.
Then you've got New Orleans. The city council there unanimously passed a one-year ban, and their goal? To just figure out how to define a data center in their existing zoning code. I mean, it's a brilliant strategy. They're treating AI not as some magical tech issue, but as a simple land use problem, just like a factory or a power plant.
It's the same story over in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They put a moratorium on new permits. Why? Specifically to study the demand on water and power. One counselor said they just wanted to stay fact-based about the real-world impact. It's all about grounding this debate in physical reality.
And hey, sometimes it's not just a pause. In Montour County, Pennsylvania, the county commissioners just flat out denied a rezoning request for a massive data center project. This wasn't a study. It was a complete stop, driven by locals who were focused on their power bills and potential environmental damage.
And check this out. In Huron County, Michigan, what started as a proposed 6-month pause got extended to 3 years. This shows that communities are learning, and they're learning fast. They're realizing that a short pause isn't enough. They need real time to get organized and help the public understand what's really at stake. So what's the common thread in all these local wins? It's the vocabulary. Look at these words. These victories aren't based on the vague language of AI morality. They are speaking the direct, hard language of public control. Permits, megawatts, zoning, ratepayer risk. This is the language that actually gets things done.
And the pressure to get this right is just growing by the day. According to the International Energy Agency, the electricity demand from data centers is on track to more than double by 2030. And the main driver of that insane jump? You guessed it, AI. We are talking about a surge in energy use that is almost hard to comprehend.
And remember, this isn't happening in a vacuum. It's all going down at a time when a global energy shock is already forcing governments everywhere to take real conservation measures, like cutting office hours, slowing down state projects, and just dealing with massive price hikes.
So this raises a really direct and pretty urgent political question, right? When everybody is being asked to tighten their belts on energy, who gets to expand? Who saves? Who pays? And which industries get special treatment on an already stressed-out grid? A new data center isn't just a simple market choice anymore. It's a political decision about who gets the power, literally.
And this brings us right back to the central idea. The real leverage, the only way to actually shape this AI revolution, isn't by arguing about its personality. It's by meeting the system's physical backbone head-on.
This table just lays it all out perfectly. When public anger is focused on AI behavior, the industry can handle that. It's manageable. They've got a whole playbook for it. Endless safety talks, AI constitutions, all this performance of being responsible. And the result? The build-out keeps going totally uninterrupted. But when the focus shifts to infrastructure, to energy, land, water, it puts direct pressure on the system's motor. And that is a real challenge to their power.
And this quote just captures the entire shift in thinking perfectly. Once a society learns to talk about AI not as some kind of character in a movie, but as an electric load, as a claim on our water, and as a form of land use, that's when it finally starts to meet the system where it's actually built, on its physical backbone.
The deeper political idea at play here is something you could call socialization. All that means is turning AI from this abstract, floating promise into a concrete, material thing that is actually governed. It means treating its infrastructure like a public object, like a utility that has to answer to what we, the public, demand of it.
So, what does a stronger path forward actually look like? Well, it looks a lot like this. First, you take them at their word. Okay, AI is a revolution. Great. But then you force that revolution through a material filter: energy, water, land. You start treating its infrastructure like a public utility. You demand proof that it won't harm communities. And you base any big federal action on the successful, concrete vocabulary of those local wins we've already seen.
So in the end, it really comes down to this choice. The AI revolution isn't a question of if anymore. It's here. The real question for all of us is whether we're going to get lost in the sideshow, debating its personality, or whether we're going to roll up our sleeves and start the difficult but necessary work of governing its power.